Get the fuck out of this car! Now! The words slam into the inside of the SUV like a hammer. 3 kids freeze. 19-year-old Eli's fingers tighten around the steering wheel he's practicing with, knuckles pale against deep brown skin. His sister Lena, 17, clutches her phone so hard her nails bite her palm. 13-year-old Micah goes completely still in the back seat, his wide brown eyes locked on the cop's hand, hovering way too close to his gun, and in the passenger seat their mother, Nora Hale, lifts her head slowly, white, mid-40s, pale blonde hair pinned back in a no-nonsense twist, dark suit, calm eyes. She looks like any tired suburban mom on a Sunday afternoon. If you don't notice the small leather badge case resting beside her thigh, half hidden by her coat. She breathes in once, tastes metal and fear. "Mom," Micah whispers. "What do we do?" Before she answers, the cop barks again, voice dripping with contempt. "I said out, all of you. Hands where I can see them. Move." He's young, maybe early 30s, buzz cut, angry jaw, uniform pressed so sharp it's like he ironed it just to feel important. His name tag reads, R. Keller. His gaze never settles on Nora for long. It keeps bouncing back to her kids, their skin, their hair, their faces. He doesn't see a grieving widow who has buried her black husband. He doesn't see 3 children pulled between 2 worlds, carrying his last name like a battle scar. He just sees what he's been taught to fear. Brown. Before we go deeper, pause for a second. If you've ever felt your stomach drop at blue lights in your rear view, if you've ever worried about someone you love just existing in the wrong skin, stick with this story to the end. Because in less than 2 minutes, the man screaming at this family, he's the one in handcuffs. And if stories like this hit close to home, don't just watch and scroll. Drop a comment, tell me where you're watching from, and hit subscribe so we can keep telling the stories that people like to pretend don't happen. Now, back to the road. "Officer," Nora says slowly, voice even. "We're complying. My son's hands are on the wheel, you can see." "I don't give a damn what you think I can see," Keller snaps. "License, registration. I want all of you out of the vehicle. I'm not asking again." Eli swallows. His voice shakes. "Sir, I'm not reaching." "Don't talk, boy. Move." "Boy." The word scrapes down Nora's spine like nails. Her late husband, Marcus, bled out on the side of a different road for the crime of being a boy. In the wrong neighborhood at the wrong time. She remembers the way the hospital corridor smelled, the trembling hands. The doctor not meeting her eyes when he said, "We did everything we could, ma'am." She blinks the memory away. "Eli," she says softly, never taking her eyes off the officer, "take your hands off the wheel, nice and slow. Keep them up. Don't reach for anything. Do not move fast, you hear me?" "Yes, ma'am," he whispers, voice cracking. Keller sneers. "What? Mommy has to give you instructions? You people can't follow simple orders." Lena flinches. Micah's fingers curl around the seatbelt strap. There it is. "You people." It's not about the supposed broken taillight. It's not about some imaginary traffic violation. It's about the way her kids look, the exact way Marcus looked the night he didn't come home. Nora feels her pulse climb. Years of bureau training press against years of motherhood, crashing like waves. She has spent the last decade teaching her children both how to stay alive and how not to grow up afraid of the world. She's tired, so tired. "Officer," she says, the steel starting to creep in around the edges of her tone. "Do you mind telling us the exact reason for this stop?" Keller plants his feet wider, puffing himself up. "You swerved. Vehicle looks suspicious. Occupants look nervous. That enough for you?" "Officer," she repeats, "my son was driving under the speed limit in his own neighborhood. We live 5 blocks from here." He smirks. "Didn't ask for your life story." His eyes flick over Eli again, lingering on his hoodie, his twists, the faint shadow of facial hair. "Step out of the car," he barks. "All of you. I want to make sure none of you are carrying." "Carrying what?" Lena blurts, fear tipping into anger. "Groceries?" "Lena," Nora warns quiet. That's when Keller's eyes go hot. "You know what?" he says. "I don't like your daughter's attitude. Get out now, or this gets a lot worse." His hand shifts on the holster. Nora's heart lurches. Time fractures into shards. She sees Micah's terror. She sees Eli's jaw clench like he's trying not to cry. She sees her husband on a steel table, skin grey, lips parted as if he was still trying to explain himself. She makes a choice. "Kids," she says calmly, "stay exactly where you are. Do not unbuckle. Do not step out. Keep your hands in plain sight." Keller explodes. "Are you refusing a lawful order?" "I'm refusing an unlawful one," she replies, voice suddenly cool as ice. And for the first time, his eyes really look at her. "What did you just say to me?" Her fingers move, subtle and practiced. She taps twice on the leather badge case by her thigh, then slides it into her hand, keeping it low where he can't yet see. "Nora," Eli whispers, defaulting to her first name when he's scared, the way Marcus used to. "Mum, don't..." "It's okay," she says softly. "Remember what your father used to say? We don't bow to bullies, we stand tall and stay smart." Eli's nostrils flare. He nods once. Nora raises her voice just enough. "Officer Keller, I am giving you one opportunity to de-escalate this situation." He laughs. Loud. Cruel. "Lady, this isn't one of your mommy blog Facebook groups. You don't get to de-escalate me." He leans toward the back window, eyes locking on Micah. "You heard me, kid. Out of the car, hands on the hood. Let's see if you're hiding anything." Micah makes a soft sound like he's choking. That does it. Nora stops being a target and remembers she's something else entirely. Rewind 10 years. The room was beige, fluorescent, and too cold. The badge sliding across the desk to her still smelled faintly of leather and ink. Special Agent Nora Hale. She'd been the only woman in her class to graduate top of the firearms qualification. The only one fluent in both legalese and the language of grief. "You're too soft," one of her instructors told her. "You feel too much. That'll get you killed." She'd smiled, small and sharp. "Or it'll keep me human." Then, years later, Marcus was killed. Not in some epic shootout, not on a battlefield, on a traffic stop. He had his wallet in his hand when they shot him. The department called it a tragic misunderstanding. The officer kept his badge. Nora kept 3 fatherless kids and a rage so quiet it could cut glass. She stayed at the bureau, not because she trusted the system, because she was determined to be one of the people inside it who would never look away. She joined a civil rights task force. She investigated patterns of abuse. She sat in living rooms with mothers whose sons never came back. She held their hands and made promises she didn't always know how to keep. And at night, when her kids were asleep, she would stare at her own reflection and whisper, "You cannot save everyone, but you will not let them do this to your children." She trained her kids like other parents train theirs for sports or exams, where to put their hands, how to speak when pulled over, which emotions to hide, and which truths to swallow. "Don't make yourself small," she would tell them. "Just make yourself safe. There's a difference." They grew up knowing the rules. Today, those rules are being tested. Back on the side of the road, Nora's thumb has already flicked the record button on her phone, screen dark in her lap. 12 seconds of audio. Keller's voice clear, the slur, the threat. 12 seconds, and a lifetime of context. She taps another icon without looking. Speed dial. At the field office, Agent Delgado is halfway through his cold sandwich when his phone lights up with her name. Audio only, no greeting. He hears a male voice snarl through the line. "Don't care who you think you are. I said out of the car." Delgado is already standing. "Dispatch," he barks to the room. "Patch me through to local PD. I think one of their guys is about to screw up in spectacular fashion." "Officer," Nora says, louder now, so her voice carries with the phone on her thigh. "My name is Nora Hale. I am a federal agent with the FBI. I am identifying myself to you clearly and out loud. You are currently harassing my children without cause and escalating a non-threatening situation." Keller's face twists. "Bullshit," he snaps. "You think dropping some 3-letter agency name is gonna scare me? You people watch too much TV." He slams one palm on the hood. Eli flinches. "Out of the car!" he roars, each word a bullet. Nora's badge flips open, gleaming in the afternoon sun as she holds it up with slow, precise movement. "Special Agent Hale, Civil Rights Division," she says, crystal clear. "You are being recorded by a federal agent and As of about 30 seconds ago, most likely by your own department's dispatch. I am informing you that your conduct is racially biased, unlawful, and puts minors at risk. For one breath, everything stops. Then Keller laughs again, but it's thinner this time. Forced. You think I care about your little toy badge? He sneers. Lady, where I'm standing, I see one white mother who made some very poor choices and a car full of potential threats. He leans down, nose nearly pressed to Eli's window. You driving this car? He asks. Yes, sir, Eli whispers. You got a job? I work weekends at the hardware store. Keller's lip curls. You selling tools or stealing them? Sir, please, Nora says sharply. Back away from my son.
He locks eyes with her, dark and ugly. For the last time, he says, if all of you are not out of this car in 5 seconds, I'm calling this non-compliance and I will escalate. You already have, she says. The moment you decided my children's skin was suspicious. Heat, tension. The air goes electric, buzzing. Inside the car, the kids are silent. Outside, a curtain shifts in a house across the street. Someone's watching, maybe filming, maybe whispering. Not again. Not here. Somewhere downtown, radios crackle, dispatchers shout. A sergeant cusses under his breath when he hears the name Hale. And in a parking lot 10 minutes away, 2 cars peel out with screaming sirens. One squad car, one unmarked black sedan. But Keller doesn't know any of that yet. He just knows his authority feels challenged, and men like him don't respond to that well. He yanks the door handle. The passenger door flies open. Wind and sirens in the distance rush in. Nora doesn't move. Step out, agent, he mocks, spitting the word. Let's see how tough you are without that little tin sticker. Mom, Lena whispers, voice fractured. Nora unbuckles her seatbelt. Her legs feel like cement. Then she steps out. The pavement radiates heat through her flats. The world smells like exhaust and summer dust. Keller steps in close, invading her space, trying to make her small. He picked the wrong woman. Hands where I can see them, he barks. Turn around. No, she says. His eyebrows shoot up. What did you just... No, she repeats louder. I will not turn my back on you while my children are in this car. I am standing right here. You don't get a choice, he growls, reaching for her arm. Careful, she says quietly. That's assault on a federal officer. He squeezes harder. Oh, are you gonna cry to your bosses? He touched me, make him stop. His fingers dig into the muscle of her bicep. Pain flashes through her, but she's known worse. She thinks of Marcus again. How he must have felt the last time someone with a badge grabbed him like this. How he never got to tell his side of the story. Not this time. Kids, she says, eyes never leaving Keller's. Stay calm. Micah, take a deep breath. In, out, don't move. Her youngest starts breathing loudly on purpose, following her rhythm. Keller notices, sneers. What's wrong, little man, scared? Maybe you shouldn't ride around looking like a gangbanger if you can't handle consequences. He says that to a 13-year-old boy in a Spider-Man t-shirt and basketball shorts. Nora's vision goes red at the edges. Officer Keller, she says, voice dropping to something flat and lethal. You have now verbally targeted minors based solely on race, ignored repeated identification by a federal agent, and initiated physical contact with that agent. Lady, you talk too. She lifts her chin slightly. Final warning, she says. Step away from my vehicle. The words are calm, but they are a line carved into stone. He crosses it. He jerks her forward, shoving her against the side of the SUV. The metal bites into her hip. Her badge case slips from her hand, clattering to the ground, flipping open to the ID photo and golden seal. Inside the car, Micah starts crying. That sound is the breaking point. Nora's training doesn't feel like theory anymore. It feels like a promise she made to herself years ago. I won't die on a roadside like he did. And I will not let them traumatize my kids to feel powerful. Her voice, when it comes, is loud enough to shake the street. Officer Keller, she commands, remove your hand from me. Right, now. He leans in, lips at her ear, breath sour. Or what? Sirens scream closer now. Keller smirks. You hear that? That's backup. We'll see how important you really are when... He doesn't finish, because the siren doesn't stop at the usual distance. It slams to a halt right behind him, 2 minutes from the moment he shouted,
Get the fuck out of this car, now! To now. That's all it takes for everything to flip. The unmarked sedan screeches to a stop. Doors fling open. A tall woman in a blazer and slacks jumps out, ID already in her hand. "Agent Hale!" she calls, voice cutting through the air. "You all right?" Keller's grip loosens in confusion. He turns his head just enough. Behind the first woman, a local sergeant barrels out of the squad car, face thunderous. "Keller!" he roars. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Keller hesitates, still holding Nora but no longer sure of his footing. I have a potential threat." "Your only threat right now is a mountain of federal paperwork and a civil rights lawsuit," the sergeant snaps. "That is Special Agent Hale. She's the reason this department isn't already under full federal review. Get your damn hands off her." Keller blinks, color draining from his face. Nora steps away from the SUV, rubbing her arm, finally truly free of his grip. The woman from the sedan reaches her, Agent Delgado's boss, Special Agent. Rios, eyes scanning Nora's face, then flicking to the kids in the car. "Ma'am," she says, loud enough for Keller and the body cams to hear. "We received your call. Audio's already recording back at the office. Are you injured? Do your children need medical assistance?" Nora's throat thickens. She swallows it down. "We're shaken," she says. "But alive." Rios nods once, jaw tight. Then she turns on Keller. "Officer Keller," she says, with the chill of formal procedure coating every syllable. "Based on the audio evidence and what I've just witnessed, you are being detained pending investigation for harassment, excessive force, and potential civil rights violations." Keller laughs, but it's a fragile, manic sound. "You can't detain me. I'm a cop." "Actually," Rios says coolly, "I can. You laid hands on a federal agent after she clearly identified herself. On tape. Multiple witnesses. That's generally frowned upon." The sergeant steps in, face grim. "Turn around, Keller," he orders. "Hands behind your back." Keller looks between them, panicking. "You're kidding," he says. "Sarge, you can't, in front of... There are kids here." "Yeah," the sergeant says. "There are." He glances at the SUV, at three wide-eyed faces watching through the glass. "Which is why this should be a lesson," he adds quietly. "Turn. Around." Keller's chest heaves. His mouth opens and closes, fish-like. Then slowly he turns. The click of cuffs around his wrists is loud in the heavy silence. Nora watches, heart pounding, as the man who just tried to humiliate her children stares down at his own hands locked behind him. For a brief, visceral second, she feels nothing but satisfaction. Then the wave recedes, leaving something else behind. Grief. Exhaustion. A hollow ache where victory should feel sweet. Because no matter how many officers like Keller she sees cuffed, Marcus is still gone. Justice, when it finally shows up, is always late. The kids are out of the car now, sitting on the curb a few feet away. A paramedic checks Micah's pulse and hands him a bottle of water. Lena keeps a protective arm around his shoulders. Eli sits stiffly, jaw clenched, like he's afraid if he relaxes, he'll break. Nora sits beside them, Rios standing quietly nearby like a guardrail. "You okay?" she asks, voice soft, looking each of them in the eye. Eli nods too quickly. "I'm fine." She raises an eyebrow. He sighs. "Okay, no, I'm pissed, Mum. I did everything right, everything you taught us, and he still looked at me like I was trash." His voice cracks on the last word. He looks away fast, blinking hard. Lena's eyes are wet. "I wanted to scream at him," she says, "to tell him who you are, but I knew that would just make it worse, and then when he grabbed you..." She breaks off, biting her lip. Micah stares at the ground. "I thought he was gonna shoot you," he whispers, "like they did to Dad." The words punch the air out of Nora's lungs. She wraps an arm around Micah, pulling him close, pressing her cheek to his curls. "I know, baby," she murmurs. "I know." Rios clears her throat gently. "Agent Hale," she says, returning the formality to give Nora some ground to stand on. "I'm gonna need your full statement when you're ready. For now, the department is pulling his body cam footage and dispatch audio. Internal Affairs is already on it. We'll handle the federal side." Nora nods numbly. "Will it matter?" Eli asks suddenly, looking up at Rios, anger blazing behind the tears. Will he actually lose his job? Or is this going to be another paid administrative leave thing until everyone forgets? Rios meets his gaze head on. I can't promise you a specific outcome, she says honestly. But I can promise this. Today, there is evidence. There are witnesses. There is an agent who won't let this disappear quietly. And there is a department that does not want a civil rights investigation on its record. She nods toward Nora. Your mom is a lot of things. Forgettable is not one of them. A tiny, reluctant smile tugs at Lena's mouth. Micah looks up at Nora, searching. Mom, he asks, are you glad he got arrested? The question hangs there, big and complicated. Is she glad? Yes, no, a little, not enough. She thinks of Marcus again, of all the nights she has lain awake wondering if there was something, anything, she could have done differently. Some earlier moment she could have stopped that officer, that bullet, that decision. She thinks of the mothers who never got to see the cuffs. She takes a breath. I'm glad, she says slowly, that you got to see that what he did was wrong, and that he paid the consequence, not you. I'm glad you saw that I would stand up for you, no matter who is on the other side. I'm glad there are people in that department who did the right thing when it counted. She looks toward the squad car where Keller now sits in the back seat, cuffed, staring straight ahead in shock. But am I celebrating? She finishes quietly. No, because this shouldn't have happened in the first place. The kids digest that. Lena wipes her cheeks. Eli looks down at his hands. Micah sniffs, then leans into her side. I hate that we have to be scared, he mutters. Me too, she says simply. Rios shifts her weight. If it helps, she says, there's already a crowd forming across the street. Half of them have their phones out. That video's gonna go somewhere. People are gonna see a story that doesn't end with you on the ground. Nora glances up, startled. Sure enough, there are neighbors on their porches, people on the sidewalk. Some look ashamed, some enraged, some relieved. One woman meets Nora's eyes and raises her phone in a little salute like, I got you. For the first time since the stop began, Nora feels something like hope. Not a big, cinematic kind, just a small, stubborn flame. Weeks later, they sit together on a hard bench in a municipal hearing room that smells like coffee and old paper. Keller is at the front, not in uniform this time. His lawyer talks about stress and miscommunication and split-second decisions. The video plays anyway. His voice fills the room. Get the fuck out of this car, now! Every flinch, every slur, every sneer caught in high definition. Then Nora's voice, calm, steady, identifying herself clearly as a federal agent. Then his hand on her arm, the shove, the kids' faces in the window, the moment the other cars arrive, the moment he's cuffed. Silence afterward is heavy. The review board asks questions. So does the bureau. Things Keller thought he'd never have to answer for suddenly matter. And for once, when a black family and an officer stand in the same room, the burden of proof doesn't rest solely on the family's shoulders. Later, the ruling comes down. Termination, referral for federal investigation, a public statement from the department acknowledging racial bias and improper force. It's not everything, but it's not nothing. On the courthouse steps, reporters swarm. Agent Hale, do you have a message for families watching at home who've experienced similar situations? Nora looks into the camera lens and sees 1,000 unseen faces. Faces like her kids. Faces like Marcus. Yes, she says, voice steady. First, I'm sorry. I'm sorry this is your reality. Mine too. Second, if you are safely able to record, record. If you can report, report. If you can support someone who has been through it, show up. The system is slow, it's flawed. Sometimes it fails completely. But today it didn't. Not because it's perfect, but because we refuse to be quiet. She pauses. And to officers watching, she adds, you don't prove your authority by terrorizing children. You prove it by protecting them. If you can't tell the difference, you don't deserve the badge. Her kids stand behind her, taller now somehow, older in ways she wishes they didn't have to be. That night, they sit at the kitchen table with plates of half-eaten takeout between them, exhaustion heavy, but relief heavier. Eli scrolls through his phone. Mum,
he says. "There's already a clip of the body cam leaked. Not the whole thing, but the part where you identified yourself and he grabbed you." He hesitates. "It's kind of everywhere." Lena snorts. "Let them see. Let every not all cops uncle watch it on loop." Micah looks at Nora. "Are you mad people are watching?" "No," she says. "I just hope they understand the point isn't look at the cool FBI, Mom. It's that it should never have gotten that far. Not for us. Not for any family." He nods, thinking, "How do we not end up hating everybody like him?" he asks eventually. There it is, the real question. Nora leans back, eyes stinging. "You remember what your dad used to say?" she asks. "Don't let them turn your heart into what they already believe it is." Eli closes his eyes. "Yeah," he whispers. "He said hate is heavy, it burns the person carrying it first." "Exactly," she says. "You stay angry enough to fight, but not so bitter that you become what you're fighting. You set boundaries, you demand better, you hold people accountable.
And you love yourself enough to know you deserve more than fear and humiliation on the side of the road." Lena sighs. "That's a lot of work." Nora smiles, small but real. "Freedom always is." They sit in comfortable quiet for a moment. Then Micah says, almost shyly, "Mom, I was really proud of you. When you stood up to him, you didn't yell or anything. You sounded like you knew you were right." Nora's throat tightens. "I did know," she says, "because I wasn't just an agent out there. I was your mother, and nobody gets to forget who you are and what you're worth. Not on my watch." Eli looks at her for a long time. "You know," he says, "for the first time I saw a cop in cuffs instead of us. It felt different." "How?" she asks. He exhales slowly. "Like maybe the world isn't rigged all the way to the core," he says. "Just cracked. And maybe people like you are the ones holding the cracks back." She laughs quietly. "I'm just one person, baby." "Yeah," Lena says, "but you're our person." So here's where the story reaches you. The person watching or listening or reading this miles away, maybe on your phone in the dark. Maybe you've sat in a car once, heart pounding, while someone with a badge decided what kind of human you were based on what they saw in 1 second. Maybe you've watched someone you love walk out the door and whispered a little prayer they'd come back unbothered, unbroken, alive. Or maybe you've never thought about any of this before, and this story feels like something from a movie instead of a Tuesday afternoon on a regular street. Either way, this is the lesson Nora would want you to take. Power doesn't make you right. Badges, titles, uniforms, they don't turn cruel people kind or ignorant people wise. Authority without accountability is just a costume for cowardice. What does matter is what you do when you see that power being abused. Do you look away? Or do you record, report, support, speak? For every Keller, there has to be a Nora. Someone who refuses to shrink. Someone who knows the rules well enough to call them out. Someone who says, "Not today, not these kids, not this family." Justice in this story didn't look like a perfect happy ending. Marcus is still gone, but justice looked like the tables turning, for once, on the right person. It looked like 3 mixed-race kids seeing their mother stand between them and a man who thought his uniform made him untouchable, and then watching that same man feel the bite of his own handcuffs. That matters. It plants something in them, in us. A belief that maybe, just maybe, the next generation doesn't have to accept that's just how it is as a life sentence. If this hit you in the chest, if you've ever been pulled over and felt your whole body go cold, if you've ever been underestimated, disrespected, or profiled just for existing, tell me your story in the comments. Don't hold it in. Hit like if you want more stories where the underdog doesn't just survive but stands tall. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one, because we're going to keep talking about this loudly until silence isn't the default anymore. And remember, you deserve to exist without apology. You deserve to be treated like a person, not a problem. And no matter who's shouting at you from the side of the road, their badge does not decide your worth.